Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of It. It is the latest Stephen King adaptation, and this, as we all know, is a second adaptation of this particular novel, the first being the miniseries starring Tim Curry. But this year, we already had a Stephen King novel hit the big screen that flopped hard. And really, it's just the latest in a long succession of Stephen King adaptations to do so. So while marketing looked good, all of the ads looked great, there was reason to have trepidation heading into it. But I'm happy to report this film lives up to the hype. It was really good. So let's go ahead and start off with those positives. The biggest positive here for me is balance. I think this film gets all of the different balance correct. It really amps up the scare factor here in comparison to that 1990 miniseries, and in its scare tactics, it has great balance. There are plenty parts just creepy imagery, just, oh my gosh, this is so gross, this is so weird, this is just plain, what nightmares are made of, mixed in with jump scares. I know it's the fun thing to just completely hate on jump scares, but they can be used beautifully in horror films and very effectively to set atmosphere, to set mood, and to give audiences in this day and age what they want. So it's great when a film does exactly what it does and mixes those jump scares in with genuinely creepy and scary things. And even within just the scary imagery, we have a beautiful mix of just like weird, crazy stuff and kind of gross out horror type stuff. I think this film also has a good balance of horror and like coming of age heart. And that is essential to this story itself. You can't just be a flat-out horror film. And that was demonstrated beautifully in that original miniseries, because all the time while they are kids is about coming of age, about storytelling, about childhood. And that's when the original miniseries was beautiful. It was just wonderful storytelling for the first about half of it. And this film does a great job of giving us fun moments, of giving us these beautifully like nostalgic 80s coming-of-age story throwbacks, and it worked so well. And it injected enough heart so that we cared, so that we became emotionally invested in what was happening to these characters, as well as just on a basic human level, hoping they don't die. I also think it mixes serious with camp very well. I appreciate that we have over-the-top campiness, ridiculousness in this film, and they juxtapose it so beautifully with much more serious scares. And it works well. This property lends itself so well to that kind of tonal shift, and kudos to the filmmakers here for accomplishing that juxtaposition so well. But going back to the scares themselves, this film is pretty much tension-filled from the very beginning through almost the very end. It is virtually unrelenting in keeping tension. So once we hit one scare, or once we hit the climax of this thing, it dips and then goes right back into another tense build-up, which I think was fantastic. And it gave us payoffs to these tension-filled moments. And speaking of the scares, this one in general just goes for a scarier tone. I was actually shocked at some of the things they went for and how gruesome this one got. But it worked, so I also have to hand it to the filmmakers in this film for improving upon that miniseries with the reveal behind Pennywise the Clown. I think it looked way better than it did in that original series, and it didn't come off nearly as cheesy and ludicrous and just kind of jumping the shark ridiculous as it did there. But the real test will come with the part 2. As for the acting, It's all fantastic. These child actors did a really, really good job. I thought they were all very endearing. They sold the character they were supposed to sell. They sold being scared very well. So kudos to all of those child actors, as well as Bill Skarsgård. I thought he did a very good job as Pennywise. I have a big soft spot for Tim Curry in the role, though, and I think Tim Curry's just vocalization and personification of Pennywise was so fantastic that it's hard to compare. Even hearing Bill Skarsgård talking was a little bit like, this doesn't feel quite right. But he did very well for the role he was asked to do here. And yeah, the character is very scary. So now, speaking on the not as strong aspects to the film. So clearly, I've mentioned that miniseries several times already throughout this review, and I talked about the coming of age portion of this story. That obviously had a lot more time to breathe, a lot more time to give us story, and this definitely felt like a rushed version when it came to the coming of age stories, when it came to just touching on all of their stories, getting all of that like childhood fears and childhood growth. So it all felt rushed. We didn't get all of those development. We didn't get good satisfactions to individual stories. We didn't see character growth with each individual person like I wish we kind of would have. And the whole Georgie sequence happens right off the bat. So it definitely holds weight throughout the rest of the film, but again, we didn't get this big emotional impact with it because it happens like literally first scene we jump into. But conversely, I think it's a pacing problem because by the end you're starting to feel that runtime. I think there are a couple moments near the end of this film where it starts to drag. So if they had just taken that time that started to drag at the end and put it into more coming of age, more character development with our group here, it would have been time better served. And I'm also going to criticize the special effects. Overall, I think they did look very, very good, but some of the choices in effects were very odd. I commented on this particular aspect in my trailer review, but the moments when it was real frantic, it never quite meshed well. Pennywise up against like weird backgrounds never quite meshed well. It looked very disjointed to me. So while things like contortions and stuff looked amazing, some of the more simple things is where the film faltered a bit for me when it came to visuals. But overall, I thought this was a really strong horror film. And in a year that we've received quite a few strong horror films thus far, this is definitely one of the best. So, if you're a horror fan, this is a definite full price ticket. Also, if you've seen that original miniseries or if you've read the book, I think this is definitely worth your time at the movie theater. So I have nothing but a full price ticket to give for it. So that has been my review of It. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Have you seen It? If you have, what did you think? And what is your favorite Stephen King book to film adaptation? Let me know either in the comment section down below or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye!